They have no appreciation for the first part. Okay. I I don't remember in my 10 years covering him, and I covered him to some extent back in 2011, so it's longer, but since 2015 till now, when he actually ran, I don't remember a moment like this, or I should say quite like this, because these nominations, I have no idea how many of these people are going to be confirmed. Uh, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Bobby Kennedy. Five. Those are the five. They're all going to shake up their departments if they're confirmed. They're all political allies of Donald Trump. They're all people who bring an outsider perspective outside the norm. And if you talk to MAGA people and to Mar-a-Lago, they'll say that's what Donald Trump wants. That's what his followers wants. That's what the mandate he has is. They also all have policy positions that many Americans don't like. And in the case of Bobby Kennedy, some policy positions that are not supported by science. Okay. In the case of Pete Hegseth saying women shouldn't be in combat, that's controversial, but it would change. It would change the current policy in a way that a lot of Americans wouldn't like. But then there's the issue of whether they're up to the job. All five of those jobs involve management, and in the case of the Pentagon and Homeland Security and HHS, massive bureaucracies, hundreds of thousands of millions of employees in the case of the Pentagon. So when you think about, will they do a good job? That's going to, if they're confirmed, that'll eventually be an important question. Will they be good at what they do? Some people are saying, well, it's all going to be consolidated in the White House, so who cares who's in the cabinet? Still an important job, even if this White House skews in the balance between control from the White House versus delegation to the cabinet secretaries maximally to control of the White House. It's still very important what the quality of the people running these departments. Can they do the job? But before that, the question will be, will they be confirmed? And you hear from all the Democrats in the Senate and in the interest groups and in the media, and from some Republicans, depending on the nominee, concerns about them, but they're not always delineated, right? Is the concern that they're going to be too revolutionary in what they do for the department? Is the concern that they can't manage it? Is the concern that they have policy positions that are out of step? Some people will have multiple concerns. I think that there's real questions about whether all five of them will be confirmed. All five. Some people have the point of view that says Trump will get his way on all of them. And my experience today with the Kennedy intention to nominate added in was the same as yesterday. Really smart people who understand Capitol Hill and politics and confirmation history say Gaetz is going to be confirmed. Kennedy's going to be confirmed because, for one thing, as I tweeted earlier today, every Republican senator has constituents, donors, staff, family members in some cases who want jobs in the Trump administration. And if they're the ones who try to take his nominees down, and again, forget about the recess appointment, 50 votes means you can lose Murkowski and Collins. Maybe you won't lose them on everybody, but you'll lose them on some probably. You can lose one more. So every one of them could go down, I think, but they could all be confirmed. And as I said, I talked to people today who said they'll all be confirmed. Then I talked to people who say some of them won't be confirmed. But I also think there's a possibility that if the public weighs in on these people, and if the objections to them are broad-based enough, based on these different categories of reasons to think they're not the right people, some ideological, some managerial, some about their past histories, then I think the Senate could say, sorry, Mr. President, these people aren't being confirmed. Now, nominations can be stopped at different steps along the way, right? They can be withdrawn before there's a hearing or before there are courtesy calls. They can be withdrawn after the hearing begins. Excuse me. They can be withdrawn or they can be defeated in committee. They can have a committee vote to send it to the floor, or no recommendation, but it goes to the floor and then there's no vote there, or they can be voted down on the floor, right? It can end any number of steps along the way at the different stages. Normally, one confirmation fight takes up a lot of time, and the press loves these. So these fights will get a disproportionate amount of coverage until it's clear that there's 50 votes for them. And I don't think that'll be clear for a while, because all five of these, and keep in mind, there are more nominations to be laid out. Others could I can't imagine topping Kennedy and Gaetz, but there could be other controversial nominees who have various categories of questions about them. And this will take up a lot of space. Now, I have a new theory, because people ask, why is Donald Trump taking this on? Why is he putting out so many controversial nominees? Is it out of personal loyalty? Is it because he wants to stick it to the deep state? Is it because he secretly wants some of them to fail so he can put in other people? There's all sorts of theories. My new theory, and it may not be their intention, but I think it will be the effect. The press will focus so much on this because they just love the dynamics of confirmation politics, which I do too, that they'll be able to do a lot of policy stuff that's not going to get as much attention. Now, in some cases, they'll want it to get attention, but if there's stuff they want to just kind of get through without a big national debate, executive orders, etc., they can do that, because this story is going through January. And if you've followed these before, we're going to start seeing long profiles of Tulsi Gabbard. Great example, Tulsi Gabbard in Syria. I could tell you sort of what's there. You can Google and read stories, but we're going to all learn more about Tulsi Gabbard in Syria than we ever have. What are RFK's actual positions on vaccines and other things that would come under his purview if he was the Secretary of HHS? What's the truth about the allegations against Matt Gaetz? What kind of lawyer is Matt Gaetz? How do you do in law school? What's Kristi Noem's management experience like? They're going to be long newspaper stories about all of this. And then we have the complexity of, we talked about this in the morning meeting, it's not clear to me that the administration is going to subject their nominees to FBI background checks. And I don't know what the Senate would do about that. If they would take some private background checks, or they try to find some other way to have the FBI involved. And remember, there's a difference between illegal and politically problematic. The FBI is not looking for embarrassing things. They're looking for things that are against the law, or would open someone up to blackmail potentially, not a political scandal. So I can tell you, I don't know. I have not spent time doing the investigative work on these five, but I can tell you, based on what I know about them, that I think the probability is high that we are going to learn more about these five. And as Sean said in the morning meeting, Sean said, I think they'll be confirmed if we don't learn more. But I think we are going to learn more. Obviously, the question is, what is the more we learn, and does that change the calculation for people? But it's hard for me, because of my interest. I just love, as I've said several times, I just love confirmation politics. I think it's so interesting. It's hard for me to think about anything else about the incoming Trump administration. And as a consumer of all the political media, that's going to, I know it's already happening. It's going to take up a lot of the bandwidth of the press's coverage and of our conversations here. And again, I have no idea how it's going to end. Although I'll circle back to my beginning. I'm doing the weave here, by the way. Although I'm pretty good, as I say, at covering Trump as an outsider playing by different rules, some good, some bad, and Trump violating rules that we really should all be thinking about. I find this really complicated to understand. The fact that after yesterday's reaction to Gaetz, he went forward with RFK. No normal president-elect would do that. someone, the chief of staff designate, or someone would say to the president-elect, "You've already got a lot of planes stacked up over LaGuardia. Don't bring another plane in that needs to land. It's too much." But he did. And in a normal transition, the nomination of Bobby Kennedy to head HHS, enormously controversial on multiple levels, would be like the biggest thing. And it would raise questions about the judgment of the operation. That's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with at least five just almost unfathomable choices for the normal rules. No one should accuse me of saying he's not entitled to his people in general. No one should accuse me of saying I'm for the deep state and I'm for no shakeup of the status quo, because tens of millions of Americans share Donald Trump's belief about these departments and what needs to be done. But these are five people whose qualifications for these significant jobs, whether it's ideological or managerial or biographical, are deeply in question by any rational standard. And it now falls to one half of one third, a co-equal branch, to John Thune and his 52 colleagues to decide what they want to do about this. There's the prerogatives of the Senate to not be rolled by the executive branch. There's individual senators' views about the fitness of these five and others to serve in these jobs. But there's also the reality that it's an incoming Republican president who won the popular vote. You hear Democrats already saying, and some people in the media, Trump is forfeiting his mandate. He's forfeiting his political capital. He's dooming this term in the first 100 days and any legislative progress by asking the senators to devote time to deciding up or down. I continue to weigh in, despite the tone of some of this. I continue to weigh or put my finger on the side of I think it's more likely all five will be confirmed than most people do. And again, I'll talk to senators or senators' aides, and they'll say, "Well, these three will get through, but these two won't." But it's not always the same two. The focus will be on and is on Gaetz and Kennedy. But do not underestimate the potential of the other three to be really problematic. Don't get caught up in the politics of the Democrats, but do listen to the substance. Gaetz will have opposition research dumped on him from both sides, but you're going to see a lot of research from the Democrats on the others. And it's going to be fascinating to see how some of the Republican senators, including Mitch McConnell, adjudicate these folks.